what you wanted to know about your life and the world now. Now, you may think that I couldn't possibly know what that is, but I'll tell you that I do, and I'll tell you about it. Now, you may not believe it. You may leave and not even listen to this video, or just watch a few seconds and then take off, because I did that so much. I ran from everything. I did it forever, and so it was challenging for me to understand what was going on for a long time in my life, but I do know what is happening in the world now, and that's what I'm going to give you. There's one message that I was led to read to you, and I'm going to put this video on both of my channels. I want it on my Wilhelm channel as well, because that's what we're speaking of here, is my information that has come through through Wilhelm, that I couldn't understand why that was happening or putting out in the world, but now I get it. There's one message I'm going to read, because this is about you and understanding what you're doing and what's happening in the world right now. And this I received on April the 18th of 2018. So it was before all of this, but I was getting information about what was happening in the world. I have always had, I had this ability to have precognitive, sense, and I could understand things which I didn't talk about forever. I wouldn't tell anybody about it because it just seemed strange to me. Just like most of my clients have something within them, they have a gift, they have something, and they hold back because they don't think it's them. They don't think they're the ones to bring that to the world. And we have that, and we have that for a reason, because we've trained ourselves that way. We've programmed ourselves into limitation. We come into the world with limitations and restrictions. That's how we're born. But we're meant to move through them so we can live a life that we would be really helpful to ourselves and to others. We have individual evolutionary journeys, is all the information that has come through for me. So I'm going to read this one, but it's going to apply to everyone who's in the world now who will choose to accept this. You were being prepared. Attempt to hold that idea in your consciousness as you think about your life so far. When you approach it in this manner, the events, circumstances, and experience you have had begin to make sense. This process then is far different than you judging yourself for what you have done or not done in your life, or thinking something has gone wrong. Nothing ever goes wrong. It is that you only come to understand this later. The reason you are being prepared is so that you would accept your greatness. Truly. I didn't know what that meant when I received it, but I put it out because, okay, it kind of makes sense, and at some point it will show up and make sense in my life. I'm saying this because we all come into the world, every single person. There are no exceptions here except the ones that choose to make themselves exceptions, and I was one of those ones, you see, because we come into the world with something to offer, something to develop, and it's a gift. Every single person. And this has come through so much, and I've talked about it so much because most people don't believe that they have some special gift, not understanding that the only gift that they have, it's them. It's every aspect of who you are. It's without your judgments. It's without you thinking you're wrong or failure or somebody else is better. It's all of that. No one is better than you. I only remembered that when I was reminded of the song that I wrote back in 1987 called Better Than Me, meaning there's no one better than you. And that was giving me the direction that my life was meant to take. But see, I still had all of the stuff you had, doubt. I had fear and doubt about all of it. So that's why I couldn't tell anybody. When I started first receiving the information from Wilhelm, I told you that's about 1988, 89 is the ones that I have still recorded. But 1989, didn't tell anybody except a couple of friends, family. But even they thought, this is strange, this is weird, why are you doing this? And then we just start to judge ourselves. Instead of understanding that everything's been created this way. Everything has been created through intuition. There's not a human alive who has created anything that did not come through their intuition. I just happened to work with it more because that was my path that I was meant to take in this life, but I resisted it. Just like you've resisted something in front of you. But that's why you're here now. That's why the world looks the way it does. I mean, this stuff didn't make sense to me, but I went back and I listened to all the old Wilhelm recordings, and they started to make sense. We're going through a restructuring, as they said, meaning that we each have to restructure. We have to let go of our old beliefs about who we were, what we thought we were capable of doing, and start to accept something new. I couldn't understand that, except now I do, because we understand science a bit more. I went through a journey of understanding, why did I have all this crap happening in my life? Why did I have all these horrible things going on early part of my life? Because I was supposed to figure them out so I could give it back to other folks. Why would I have all these illnesses and diseases that I then healed, that then went away, so that I could give that information back to others? But I wouldn't talk about it. Just like you probably haven't talked about that thing, that idea you have that you thought, oh, this is crazy, I'm not the person to do that. Yes, you are. But it was a process that I had to go through. That is what my program is. It's my entire life going through this process of uncovering all these crazy ideas that we've had about ourselves in terms of being limited and held back and somebody else can do it better than us. That's never true. It's just us holding it back. And let me read a little bit more, because none of these are online. I haven't published this. This is from 1989. But everyone, you will understand this. Your life is meant to be experiential, and you encounter seemingly more difficulties when you try too rigorously to adhere to predetermined plans. Some of these difficulties you have seen in your emotional inability to let go of certain things in your life. Notice how emotionally upset you were the other night when you supposedly missed your students. If you did not have such an attachment to the results of impending events, it would be much easier to learn what you desire in these situations. This again, you will find, will show you how much of this attachment you have placed in the hands of others. Meaning that we hold ourselves back many times because we are controlled by the opinions of other people, and that was my entire life. But I had a reason for it, and you always do. There's always something that goes on that's in your experience that once you understand it, it becomes a benefit for you. Me holding back all this time gives me much more ability now to have others own who they are in a much faster way. That's why my program did that, you see, because I'm shoving in there things that took me 30, 40 years to kind of come figure out and finally begin to accept. That's really what it is. It's self-acceptance that we all have to do. Every person is born with what they need to become successful, happy, prosperous, abundant, all of it, except we stop it because we think somebody else is better, and then we hold ourselves back. Now, when so many people do that over centuries, and we can see that, then we have wars. Then we have people who take over because they say, wow, there's so many people who don't believe in who they are, and they don't have any light coming into the world. That's what happens. And when you look at what's occurring in the world, we can look at one place now, which is, Ukraine, but there are more places like that in other parts of the world. And all of my information is saying we're supposed to care about more people. We're supposed to care about ourselves first so that we have the ability to care about others, and that changes everything. And that's the only work that I do. There are a lot of people who are very aware of this change that we're going through. Some people calling it something different, a shift, a great awakening, and all of those things. My Wilhelm has said that it's a restructuring. A restructuring, meaning that we are doing things in the world differently than we ever did before. Years ago, they led me back to looking at documentaries, which I mentioned, and one was Martin Luther. They wanted me to see that Martin Luther was this person who had the ability, he had this great vision to see that there was more that could happen in human consciousness if we would start letting go of making everyone else better, of thinking that there were so many that had only the power. We're changing that, and that's why the restructuring is going on, and that's the fight that you're seeing in the world. And it's going to go on for just a little bit longer, which is why I said also this is the time to get busy and work on you, what you came to bring to the world. Everyone is a little afraid of that, and I go through this all the time when I meet with a client and I can see something that they have, and they're saying, no, that's not real. I can't do that. Somebody else can do it. I see it all the time because I did that. You got to stop doing that because this is a new age that we are in, moving into a new world. But most people will not, a lot of people won't understand that, and so the fighting is going to go on. The fighting is only because, and the resistance is because we don't like the unknown. Just as that message said, we don't love because we want to be certain. We make up things about what might be going on in the world so that we can have a sense of security. And instead of allowing the natural events of things to really unfold, and that's what's happening now. You will experience less difficulty in your life if you decide to take away the judgment from yourself. It's nothing more than that. Because everybody's sitting with this self-judgment of what didn't I do, what could I do, that's what it is. You think that you're judging the other people. No, you're judging yourself. That's what's going on. And so now we're in a world where we have to restructure that as well, where you come to understand the value that you bring to the world, and then you'll start to see it in others, and this collective war that we're having will start to change and shift, and the world will be restructured. You will get something out of this, and there's going to be more that's going to come through in the talk that we're doing, the live conversation this coming next Saturday is when we're doing that one. But also, I wanted to explain this as well, because this is all in my program. That's all you do is go through, and this is why I understood it now more, because as I went through it, I changed as a result of that. That doesn't make sense, I know, but I don't remember what I receive. I have to go back and study it and get it and ingest it and allow it to assimilate into my being just as everyone else. That was the life that I was given. You were given one as well, and now is the time that you were meant to live it and have it unfold and put it into the world.